The way the ecosystem looked before Beehiiv was traditionally you had a website and you would blog and you'd post on like WordPress.
Yeah.
If you had a newsletter, you copy and paste all of that content into MailChimp. If you wanted ads, you can use like programmatic ads, which is a different platform that you put into your newsletter or your
But nobody's
or your
going to .coms anymore.
Right.
The only people that come to my website want to find my email address.
So you should launch a newsletter.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Ad Podcast. We are here with Tyler Denk, the CEO of Beehiiv. You guys all know Beehiiv as the newsletter platform that gives independent creators tools and the ability to build an audience that they own that the platforms don't control, giving them different tools to monetize their audiences. So, Tyler, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about what you guys had going on at Cannes this week. How's things been for you as we wrap up the week?
Been a very busy week for a lot of reasons. We do a lot of different things. So obviously our core users are content creators and publishers, of which I'm sure you've noticed how many content creators are here this year, especially relative to previous years. I think they're having like a huge wave of just more brands buying into creator economy and marketing by leveraging these different unique audiences that they have. So everyone that's here from the creators and publishers could and should be our users. On the flip side, we also have the Beehiiv ad network. We send over 4 billion emails every single month with very highly engaged audiences. And so today we have brands like Nike, Netflix, Roku, HubSpot, all investing into the ad network. You can think of it as the problem that it solves really is if you've ever sponsored a newsletter, you go back and forth going through like stats and metrics
Copy
and negotiating and then then scheduling.
It's a lot of hard to scale when you go one newsletter at a time, right?
And if you find that newsletters work well, which many of them do if you find the right audience, then your growth marketer's job becomes what other newsletters exist like that newsletter.
Interesting.
And
so
now
it almost gives you a way to test the network for high velocity association with your brand. What newsletters is your brand responding, and then you can figure out those categories. Then you can go out and build direct relationships with those creators.
Yes and no, but I'm even like historically, I'd say like if you were just investing outside of the Beehiiv ad network, if you were investing in a newsletter, you find one that works, and then now it's your team's job to figure out what other newsletters exist that I could also invest in marketing, and like where do you even go to find that list of newsletters, and then you're also doing those one-to-one negotiations and copy and scheduling for all of them. And so that's really where the Beehiiv ad network comes in. If you're a brand and you want to target women in their 30s that are into health and wellness, we can pull immediately that we have 7,000 newsletters that fit that exact criteria.
You know the exact scale, the open rate, past performance.
And it's all first-party data. It's trusted. And so rather than you going to 7,000 individual newsletters and negotiating, you can hit all of them. And because we have an ML team that's building all of these models, we'll quickly identify which are performing better in real time. We have a Beehiiv ad pixel, so we actually track conversion all the way down funnel, and we provide real-time dashboards. So really what we're trying to build is what I describe as the Facebook ad manager for newsletters. And we also launched podcasts recently, so eventually beyond just newsletters. But for right now, the focus is so many, and our renewal rate right now is 80%.
Wow.
Which means prices probably need to go up.
It means it's working. Yeah. But it means it's working. Are too low, right? That's awesome.
But yeah, so I say all of that because like obviously we are in Cannes Lions. It's traditionally an advertising fest, and there's tons of people here representing from big agencies and big brands, and those are the relationships that we want to be building to have them on board and leverage the Beehiiv ad network.
I love it. Tell me more about the podcast play, because obviously that's interesting to a podcaster. You know, one of the things I've never gone into the newsletter space, whether it's with you guys or some of the other places where creators can build newsletters, mainly because I'm not a writer, I'm a podcaster. I like to have conversations with people, but I'm not a traditionally trained journalist. I don't particularly love writing. It doesn't build up. It's not work that I enjoy doing, so I've pretty much ignored it, probably to my detriment, because I know it's a really sticky channel that I should be active. So tell me about going into podcasting, and are you guys building out any kind of tools that allow journalists to become podcasters and podcasters to become journalists?
Yeah, I'm actually want to push. I'm curious the difference of how you see journalists and podcasters.
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I think Podcasting, you turn on a camera. If you're someone who's used to having conversations, I came out of the sell side of the advertising industry. So my job for the last 15 years is to fly around the country or jump on a Zoom call, walk into a room, spark up a conversation, present a clear message, but communicate in person or, in the physical. And writing is just, it's a different skill set, right? To be a great writer. And, you have to enjoy sitting down and pecking away and going through versioning and all that kind of stuff. So just something that I know that I need to get to that I've just been dreading, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's a lot of tools out there where you can take your podcast, run it through transcription and probably use AI, but it's like you also want to remain authentic and, totally create real things, not just more AI slop, right?
Yeah. And to go back to your initial question around why podcasting and our vision for that.
Sure.
The way the ecosystem looked before Beehiiv was traditionally you had a website and you would blog and you'd post on WordPress.
Yeah.
If you had a newsletter, you copy and paste all of that content into MailChimp. Mm-hmm. If you wanted ads, you can use programmatic ads, which is a different platform that you put into your newsletter or your.
But nobody's
your
going to .coms anymore.
Right.
The only people that come to my website want to find my email address.
So you should launch a newsletter.
That's a great. Yeah, no, I'm definitely feeling it. Well, maybe I'll have to connect you guys after some pointers.
And then if you wanted to have a subscription business, you have to also add Stripe or a user authentication layer.
There's a lot of tools you have to bolt together to have the full funnel.
And so that ecosystem, what it looks like is 6 or 7 different platforms that, as a content creator or publisher, your skill set is creating content. Mm-hmm. Your skill set isn't signing up and paying for 7 different platforms, then figuring out how to make them all speak together. And when one doesn't work, then the whole thing kind of breaks down. And so that really was the initial thesis of Beehiiv. It's, can we build this all-in-one platform where your website, your newsletter, your advertising, your subscriptions, everything is in a single unified platform. We think the convenience factor is huge for content creators, and there's a lot of other benefits. And when you extend that one layer deeper, a lot of our users, because they are creating content, primarily for newsletters, also have podcasts.
Yep.
And so now I run most of my business through Beehiiv, but podcasts are over on this other platform.
Yep.
So that was the first insight that they enjoyed. I think we're very good at shipping product. I think our engineering product design team is second to none. And so people enjoy running their business within the Beehiiv platform. And podcasting was an okay platform for a lot of these people.
Yeah. Are you servicing as a centralized distribution hub the way, say, Spotify for creators might?
Totally. So we aren't the destination of where consumers would listen to podcasts.
But it's where you're hosting the file.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You would publish the podcast file there with any metadata. We'll do a full transcription, but we then upload and distribute that to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all of the major players. And then the second insight that we had is a lot of podcasters had very little affinity for their podcast host. Mm-hmm. If you ask them, they either didn't know who they used or they didn't care at all. And they were like, hey, I like using Beehiiv already and I'm using it daily.
Yeah, it's just an easy way to consolidate tools and workflows.
Totally. So that's really the core thesis behind it. But then as you go deeper, what does the future of podcasting on Beehiiv look like? Obviously, if right now you can bundle a newsletter subscription with your podcast. Mm-hmm. By the time this airs, we are announcing, or actually 5 minutes ago before you came.
Yeah, we just shipped a product before we hit the button. So.
We just shipped Spotify Open Access, which basically ties your paid-only podcast being available on Spotify to sync to your Beehiiv account as well.
Wow.
So if I had a newsletter on Beehiiv, which I do, if you were to upgrade to a paid account with my content, it would also unlock my paid podcast on Spotify, all in one unified layer.
Yeah, I know a lot of podcasters, like Jocko Willink, for instance, has his big show, but then he's got his members-only show for
totally
$8.99, and it's through Apple, right? So,
yeah. So we just shipped that update 5 minutes ago.
Let's go.
So pretty excited about that. And the future is for me, I think every creator cares about two things. It is, how do I grow faster? How do I grow my audience faster? And how do I make more money? And so we are working on monetization outside of just subscription, which is what we offer today, but obviously ad insertion, both from host-read ads and being able to track and attribute everything there to dynamically inserting other third-party ads into the feed. Those are things we're actively working on now. And then the other piece of the puzzle is, how do we build network effects within the Beehiiv ecosystem to help you help consumers find and discover other podcasts?
Yep.
And if we can help podcasters grow faster and we can help them monetize more effectively, and we can bundle that with the rest of their content business, I think it's a very compelling platform and value prop to give.
Yeah, I love it. One thing that a lot of podcasters are moving to is live to tape. They'll go on a platform that gives you the capability not just to record, but also to go live across platforms, because they want to take advantage of the engagement factor that a lot of the social platforms are giving to live feeds, but then have the VOD automatically archive. They also don't want to edit, so they just want to be one take and done, and then it's good to go. Are you guys thinking about live at all?
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. I think what we have done really well historically is, and we totally different example, but like we recently launched the Beehiiv MCP, which is to enable people doing workflows through Claude or ChatGPT and do things within Beehiiv. I give that example because like clearly consumer behavior is shifting towards more people doing work within Claude.
Yep.
And you can either fight those consumer behaviors or you can build around them and try to facilitate them. And so when we see trends like everything that you just described around video and going live, like that's not something that we philosophically want to fight. We want to see opportunities and what our users want to do and build the tools and solutions to help facilitate that.
I love it. What about clipping? Because that's a big part of what some of these platforms give you on the production side is, you finish your show and you've got 5 60-second cut downs that are AI optimized and cut and ready to add some bells and whistles to, and then you can publish. Are you thinking about clips as a way to drive discoverability? Spotify also gives you the opportunity to upload a 60-second clip to each podcast that then gets run as a discoverability piece within their ecosystem. Are you thinking about clips too?
Yeah. So the way that, I guess like right now it is, you have this finished podcast audio file, you upload it into Beehiiv, and then there's what happens after, and then like what happens before.
Yep.
Right now, a lot of what we're focusing on is like the monetization aspect and everything, and then like the discoverability. Where another route that we can or will eventually go at some point, and like unsure the exact timing of all of this, is like, what does the before look like? If we're already the place where like you are using some other,
what's hitting and what might be interesting.
Totally, and you already know, well, you're already using some other third-party software to create the audio file, to do the podcast recording, to clip, and then you upload it to Beehiiv, and we just distribute and help you monetize.
Nice.
But what if we were to be the place where you actually record your podcast, where the audio file is being optimized, where we use AI to be able to do those edits, to pull out the video, to do the clipping, and provide all of those for social channels. I mean, there's obviously a whole industry of businesses that are tackling those problems, and I don't want to commit too soon to saying that that's the direction that we want to go in. And I'm not 100% sure that we do.
Sure.
We could be totally fine with you do all of that somewhere else.
Your distribution and monetization and production is another part of the game.
Right. I think it all just becomes like, how much do we want to chew off, and like is that the best direction, or like are there platforms that are so much better suited to do that and it's like not worth our time, and we're actually just have a symbiotic relationship where we can integrate with them. And I think we're also very open to that as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you mentioned the idea that Cannes is becoming more of a creator economy ecosystem. Yeah, I came here the first year where it was like Paris Hilton. She was the only one here. And then in short order, 3 or 4 years later, you've got Creator Beach with Adobe. You've got Influential Beach. Very much creators are kind of at the center of the conversation now. When did you guys start paying attention to Cannes, versus going to VidCon that kicks off today, or maybe you guys are in both places?
Yeah. Well, last year I made the mistake of leaving Cannes early to fly back to LA for VidCon, and the contrast between the south of France and the Anaheim Convention Center could not have been greater. And I regretted every moment of being back there. I can
only imagine.
So we did not make that mistake this time.
Yeah.
I mean, Cannes, we were familiar with it.
Yeah.
Our first year was last year.
Nice.
And it just sounds expensive. And like, unless you've been there, boots on the ground, and had a team
you can
that has
definitely
been there,
bootstrap it if you want to. There's a way to make your dollar stretch and not, have to do a drone show or something at night.
I think for us, it was a little bit of us earning our stripes and being large enough where we can have a presence and people recognize our name and recognize us and want to book podcasts and invite us on panels. So like when you're a small, 40-person startup, like you don't have that aura around you, and like you're not getting invited to be on every panel. So I think part of it was like earning our stripes. The other one was just like looking at market signals that more and more of our content creators and users and partners and platform partnerships were all at Cannes. and asking about can. And I think we actually got pulled into it, knowing that, I just saw Jay Shetty walking down the street the other day, one of our big users. Colin Samir, I think, are here as well.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our largest users are here on the ground doing different activations. And so we want to be where, one, our users are, and obviously our users hang out with other people in their cohort that should be our users. So just continuing to like be in the right place at the right time, I think is pretty important for us.
Yeah, I love it. So talk about your week. You mentioned, thought leadership and kind of getting pulled into those right opportunities. What was your kind of thought leadership schedule? What were some of the things that you did, and what were some of the messages that you were trying to get out to the market?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, fortunately, we have an amazing comms leader, and he did his job a little too well. So booked to every hour on the hour, doing a mix between important meetings. Meetings could be with users, potential users, platform partnerships, BD, a bunch of panels. We did panels at Adweek. We did panels at a few of the other beaches and whatnot. We've done a lot of interviews and podcasts like this. Interviews, we did one with like the Wall Street Journal, informal interviews with the New York Times. We've done a bunch of different podcasts, and like as people are doing pop-up studios like this, and like actual studios that they've set up with like either Adobe or LinkedIn as well.
Yep.
So it's some combination of building relationships with like the big buckets of would be our users, would be our advertisers, and then being able to tell our story and share what we're doing to as many people as possible. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind. And then like some of the messages I think we're trying to get out are around, one, like I think in the creator economy and space, there's a lot of competition. Mm-hmm. They all follow the same playbook of a closed platform with predatory take rates that the creator gives up a lot of control and ownership over their content and
their audience
and their audience and their flexibility to monetize and do what they want with their content and with their audience. And I think we offer an alternative in creator ownership, in creator sovereignty, where they truly can build the business that they want without having revenue taken from them, without having to play by the rules of this closed ecosystem. And I think just hearing that and using all the different case studies and examples that we have is really powerful. So that's one message. And then obviously like there's a lot of brands and advertisers here, and we want to continue to show that this 80% renewal rate, which has been, just shows to the success of like the ad product that we've created.
And just email is just such a sticky channel. It's guaranteed to be seen, at least the opens. And I wanted to ask one question. You mentioned pixeling. Some people are afraid to even use open pixels because it might land them in the spam filter. Google's AI products are getting, more sophisticated. Have you seen any issue with pixeling emails and deliverability?
No, I mean, our deliverability for us, like we obviously we take it extreme. It's the entire business, right? Yeah. So we take it very, very seriously. Our deliverability rates like 99.8, or it's like industry leading according to every like metric that we've been able to pull publicly. Mm-hmm. The average open rate on the platform, I think, is around 41%, which is like over 2 times the industry average across all of these other different content categories. So we feel great about, we haven't seen any like massive changes with AI or like inboxing any differently. We have dashboards everywhere around open rate, deliverability rate, spam rate that we track very closely, and has largely remained unchanged over the past few years.
That's amazing. Well, I think creators can sleep well at night knowing those types of statistics, that their messages are going to get into the inboxes that matters for the customers.
Which is actually just thanks to like it speaks to the thesis around the company and like the power of having an email as well, in the sense that you could have 100,000 followers on Instagram, and there's no guarantee that even half of those people will see the content that you're posting. And I think we see more and more instances where people are complaining that they have built these large audiences but are unreliably able to reach their audience, both from like the algorithm kind of dictates that, and as both TikTok and Instagram and all of these feeds, even YouTube, are shifting more towards like algorithmically driven based on engagement and not based on following. It really is a crapshoot of the content that you're creating, whether or not it will reach your audience.
Whether you have 10 followers or 1 million, a video posted by the same length of video doesn't really matter. It's anything has a chance to go viral and anything has a chance to flop. It's kind of leaving your distribution and brand partnerships, for that matter, kind of to a lot of variables that you can't control.
Totally. And the total contrast to that is email, where you own your audience, you own the distribution. It's an open protocol, and when you hit send to 100,000 people, 100,000 people are going to receive that email. There's like caveats and nuances around if it's spammy content. Like, sure, maybe it might end up in junk, but like that's all determined by the quality of the content being created. But the pipes and the infrastructure and the ownership and the distribution, there's no intermediary between this algorithmic fee that's dictating what is actually delivered. And so I think that's really important. And I think as we see more people complaining about the lack of distribution, more and more people are opening their eyes to what they thought was an unsexy channel in email, but realizing how profitable it is and how reliable it is and how much of a superpower it can be.
I love it. All right, man. Well, thanks for sitting down with me and talking a little bit about what you guys have going on at Beehiiv. If folks at home want to continue to maybe check out your newsletter or follow along with learning more about the company, maybe a creator wants to get started with newsletters as a part of their portfolio, where do you want to send people to learn more, stay in touch?
Yeah, well, beehiiv.com, spelled Beehiiv.com, if you want to get started. The newsletter, glad you gave it a shout out. Big Desk Energy, so mail.bigdeskenergy.com. It's a newsletter about the behind the scenes of building the company, so more of like a startup founder POV.
Build out loud.
Yeah, build in public, sharing all of like the tactics that are working. That goes out every Tuesday. And then just my name, Tyler Denk, on all the socials.
Let's go. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
On YouTube, finding the right audience to build a media plan requires hours of research. And optimizing campaigns is time-consuming and a bit of a guessing game. That's why we built technology to do it for you. Strike Social.